This month I was supposed to decorate my house and failed, but I did manage to paint one room, so let's talk about that instead. So our plan at the start of this month was to paint one wall and one room, and then clear one more room, take all the stuff out of it, because that room needs plastering and stuff stripping off the walls and everything, so I knew I wasn't going to get that done, but I knew I was going to at least get it started, and that was my plan. I thought I'd get that wall done in a day. It's only one wall, maybe 2 days if it needed 2 coats. And then the room, I was like, oh, well, each coat will take me a day, so 3 or 4 days. That was on so let's just say the 1st. It is today, the 27th, and I have just finished the room. And even then, I've not finished it. It's mostly finished. It's had all of the actual full coats it needs. I do have to go around and touch up some bits, but outside of that, it's done. It just took a ridiculous amount of time. The one wall that I wanted to do, that took 3 coats in the end, and the room upstairs, the walls took 2 coats, the ceiling took 3 coats, and all the gloss took 3 coats. And especially because I'm doing all the work myself. My wife helps a little bit, but she's not there all the time, so I'm doing the vast majority of the work myself. It's taken me weeks, and I just didn't expect it to. This week I wanted to be plastering, and the room that needs plastering isn't even empty yet, so I'm still taking stuff out of it. There's stuff in there that we're keeping, there's stuff in there that's going with my uncle, and there's stuff in there that's going to be thrown away or whatever. But it's still there, so all of that needs to move somewhere else. The walls need stripping, then the walls need, I think, bonding first. I'm not totally sure. But at the very least they need also wash them in PVA glue, it lets the plaster stick better. And then plastering. All of this was supposed to be done this week, and it's not even started yet. And now, tomorrow, I've got the guy coming about doing the basement. Depending how much time I've got, I might do another segment of the podcast about what happens regarding that. But either he's going to do the job or he's not, basically. If I don't give a further update based on what he says to me tomorrow. That's the plan. We bought a load of stuff for the bathroom as well, because we're getting the bath taken out and a shower fitted. We've not bought all the things we need, but we've bought the big expensive pieces. There's some bits for on the walls, basically big plastic sheets that you put on the walls, and we need those, and they come with caps on them because they're attached to each other, and then you can get caps on them that will cap off the ends. So we need to buy that sort of stuff. Oh, and we actually need to buy the shower body, but we've bought the enclosure and all the stuff that needs for that, and also we bought a load of radiators. Oh, that's one thing I had to do this month that I didn't talk about. I had to remove a radiator, which is another reason why this job took longer. Let's explain that first. The reason the job took forever is because the paint just didn't want to stick, basically. You would paint it, and it would just wipe off. Now, usually that would say to me that the walls weren't prepared properly, but they were, because I did it. You use sugar soap, which is it's a acidic soap that's really good for getting rid of grease and stuff, stains and stuff like that. So you wash the walls down with that first. Then you wash them again with clean water, because you shouldn't leave that on, because like I say, it is acidic. Then you sand the surfaces, and then clean up after you sanded, because you don't leave them dusty, because then the paint won't stick again. But yeah, that's the basic thing. And then you tape up around your stuff that you don't want to get paint on, stuff like that. But that's the basic job. Did all that, but I'd put the paint on, and it would just wipe off. So we managed to get 1 coat on, and it just looked like shit. We got a 2nd coat on, and it looked better. And then we got a 3rd coat on, and then it looked okay. And that has been how every wall in the house has been, except for upstairs we managed to get the walls done in 2 coats, not 3. But there's some patches which need touching up in there, so I'll do that. The ceiling took 3 coats for the exact same reason. The gloss all took 3 coats for the exact same reason. Every job has taken me 2 or 3 times longer than I expected. One of those things is I had to paint behind a radiator. Don't know if you've ever done that before. It's really hard because there's a radiator in the way. Instead of painting behind a radiator, I decided I was getting rid of that radiator anyway and replacing it with a different one, so I'll just take the radiator off the wall. Turns out it's not that complicated a job. You get some plumber's grips to hold the pipe and a wrench, and you loosen the nut, and then you can just spin it with your fingers and pull it off. And then you do that on both ends. You turn the pipes off first. Then you loosen them, and then the water comes out of your radiator. And then once all the water's out of your radiator, you can take the radiator off the wall. And that's it. It's not a particularly complicated job. The only thing that was complicated is normally a TRV comes with a thing called a decorator cap, which is a little cap that goes on the pipe when you've taken the radiator off so you can decorate, or hence the name. I assume it did, but no idea where it was. It should have been okay, because the pipe shouldn't leak, but it was leaking. It was just a tiny bit. So I just put a bucket under it, kept it like that, until I could get a decorator cap, but that meant then I had to go out that day. So went to 2 different shops, and neither of them had them. So then I had to get a bus to somewhere else, and get it from there, which is, like I say, it's a place I knew would have it, but it just meant travelling further. Then go all the way back, in the end, this job that should have taken me like half an hour took over 2. And it was just, every job has been like that. I knew things wouldn't go to plan, but I didn't think every job would not go to plan. So all of that's been taking longer. Because everything's been taking longer with like having to paint multiple times, I've spent way more money than I was supposed to. I've spent like £100 on paint for one room. It's just too much. We spent £45 just on gloss. It's just a ridiculous amount of money. We wouldn't have had to spend that much. We spent a decent amount because it took the 3 coats. But I actually managed to get almost all of the 3 coats done with 1 tin of the gloss. But the reason why we needed more anyway is because we've also got to paint the door. But then we decided we also want to use the same colour. I say the same colour, it's black. We want to use that black in the bathroom as well. So we've ended up buying 3 tins of that, which is going to be fine, but just more money and more time. I've got a guy coming tomorrow about the basement. I don't know when that job's going to happen. Hopefully soon. The next job that I know is happening is the shower. I don't know exactly when that's happening either. I know it's sometime at the start of September. I'm waiting for the plumber to tell me exactly what day he's available, basically. But I've also added on jobs that he doesn't know about yet, so I need to speak to him about that. I asked him to change 1 radiator and to install this new shower. And now I want him to change 2 radiators and install a new one. So it's more work. I know that. And I know it's going to cost money. But for one thing, I've already bought the radiators now, so it needs to happen one way or another. There's no towel radiator in that bathroom. I really want one. The radiator in my room that's black, the room that is black, that is mine, is what I mean. It's like a really thick, short radiator. So I'm getting a thinner, taller one because I don't need the wall space as much, but I do want the floor space more. I would like a little bit more walk-in space, and I don't mind having less wall space because of it, because the room is very tall anyway, so I could just have stuff higher up than that. It's not a big deal, but I think that's going to be more useful to me. Then the room downstairs had, one of the walls was like 2 meters long, and had a 2 meter long radiator on it, which basically meant I couldn't use that wall for anything. So we're replacing that with instead a tall, thinner one. Similar to the one that I'm getting in my room, but it's bigger because it's a bigger capacity room, so it needs like more, they're called BTUs, but it needs to be able to output more heat. The one that I'm just talking about, that's the one he knew he was doing. The other 2 I did ask him about, but he was kind of wishy-washy about it, but I need him to do it, so gonna have to get him to do it. Actually, getting the shower was a bit of a nightmare. That's also coming tomorrow in the morning, so I'm gonna go to sleep, and then 5 hours later I need to be at the house. So I'm gonna get barely any sleep today. I got an email last week saying you weren't in, so we couldn't deliver your stuff. And I emailed them back saying, you never told me you were coming. A bit of this is my fault, and a bit of it is theirs, as far as I'm concerned. It's my fault because I've mentioned before that this is actually my old house. You know when you fill in a website and it fills in your details? Because it filled in my old address, because it's my old house, it also filled in my old phone number, so they couldn't ring me and tell me that they were delivering. That's my fault. The reason I say it's their fault is because they don't email you telling you they're gonna deliver your stuff. They only text you. In the email they do send, that's the one where they said, we are shipping your stuff. You know, like, just the one saying, your stuff is shipped, not the one that's saying, it's coming on this day or whatever. We get an email that says, your order's shipped, here's the tracking details. And the tracking details is a little link, and you click it, and it sends you to a page that says, shipped. And that's it. It never changes. It's completely useless. And not having my phone number on is my fault. Their tracking is so useless that what was I supposed to do? What I mean is, I was checking the tracking every day since I got the tracking email. I checked it every day, and it never changed from shipped. So it never said it's coming. It never said it's on its way. It never said anything. It just said shipped. So I got a phone call today saying we're going to be there tomorrow, but they were also going to be there at 7 in the morning, which is about 4 hours before I usually wake up, because I tend to work until late and then get up in the middle of the day. It's just, I've always been like that. So it means that I'm going to actually get maybe 4 or 5 hours of sleep if I'm lucky tonight. So I'm going to get there for when they deliver the stuff. But I've also, my uncle is currently at the house, so he can pick it up if he needs to. I'm going to get there for that, and then we're going to go out for breakfast. And then I'm going to go back and do some work until the guy comes for the basement, which should be about 1 o'clock. And then I'm probably going to just go home after that, because I'm going to be way too fucking tired to do anything else. And then come home and edit this podcast. Besides that, there are also some other small jobs that need doing. There's some electrical work that needs doing, which I'm totally comfortable doing myself, but just it needs to be done. I need to... It's weird, the sockets are already installed, but they're just not installed in the way that I'm happy with, so I'm going to redo them. They're installed on a fused spur, kind of, whereas I'd rather them just be tied into the mains properly, so I'm just going to tie them into the mains myself. It's not a particularly complicated job, and it's one that I'm comfortable with, so I'm going to do that. I also need to install some lights. I need to decide what I'm doing about one light, because I just don't like it, but I don't know what I'm going to replace it with. Then that door needs painting, like I said. And then once the room downstairs is plastered and everything, then that room will need painting as well, but that'll be a couple of weeks away at this point. once the bathroom is finished, that's all going to need painting, and it's also going to need painting, and it's going to need new floor. Thinking about getting rid of the sink in there because we just hate it, but we're going to have to see how much money we've got at the end because every other job is more important, but I do really hate it. Also might look at getting a new toilet. I'm thinking the toilet is going to be awful after we've had a load of workers in, so might have to do that. Once the basement's done, I'm going to have to plaster and paint down there. We've got to decide if we want to replace all the door handles. Now, there's only actually 5 doors in the house, so it wouldn't be a whole lot of money to spend, but we need to choose them and everything, so we need to think about that. We've got an exterior light that needs fitting. We need the concrete in the yard taken up and relaying because it's at a weird angle right now to the point where it's like causing problems with the house. Laying a new floor in that room that needs plastering as well. I think, though, after that, we'll actually be done. I think that's all the jobs that still need doing. But who knows? Tomorrow I'll probably find even more. Before the basement job can get done, I've got to fucking dig out like a ton of dirt. Like by hand, on my own. Just everything is taking me so long. And it's mostly because I'm doing all of it myself. Like even when I get help, it's not great. Well, it's going. I posted a moving vlog the other day where I just showed off the house. I'm not really showing off me doing any work on the house because I don't... If I'm going to be recording me doing work on the house all the time, I'm going to take even longer to do the jobs. And I think if I was more confident in doing the jobs, maybe I would. But I'm either not confident in doing it, or I just want to get it done. Maybe I'll film me dig, and you could just have a video of me digging. As for the channel, Momodora started. I'm enjoying it. I'm pretty close to the end now. I'm not totally sure, but I'm pretty close to the end as far as I can tell. The way I'm kind of guessing is that there's sigil cards that you can find throughout, and they give you like little power-ups, and I'm only missing 3. So I must be pretty near the end. It's a very weird difficulty spike in the area I'm at right now, though. I've gone from pretty much steamrolling everything to dying in 2 or 3 hits. It's been strange. It's a very big jump. Besides that, it's going fine. Surprisingly easy most of the time until, like, say, this difficulty spike. I think I enjoy this more than the last one. What's it called? Reverie Under Moonlight. I found that one kind of hard in places. That was more of a consistent difficulty, though. Harder, but consistent. Whereas this one I've found incredibly easy with random spikes of difficulty. I think everything else has just carried on as normal, hasn't it? My half hours have been normal. Still doing my sponsored videos. I need to get some more sponsored videos. I've not got one for this week yet, but it won't take me long. I've requested some, so it's just waiting for one of those to respond. Because I'm not totally sure how long Momodora is going to take me, I can't tell you anything about that yet. I think it's only going to take me about 2 or 3 weeks, so that'll probably end in the middle of September. I don't know what's going to come after that at the moment. I honestly didn't even know if I was going to do Momodora. I literally decided to do Momodora at the last possible second. I kind of wanted to for a while, but I wasn't really sure because it's a very different style of game from what I've done before. But also it just, going back to the house stuff, because so much is going on with the house, I'm finding it hard to focus on anything else. Like, I'm just so tired all the time. But because of that, it took me a really long time to even choose to do the game that I'd already planned to do, if you get what I mean. It was mostly because there's that, but I also really want to play Yakuza 5, but there just wasn't enough time to end it before the end of the year, so now I've got to wait until January, but I'll have this, like, urge to play it that I just can't fulfill. Yeah, so half hours, sentences, impressions, they're all carrying on as normal. Momodora will carry on till it finishes, which again, should be in a week or 2. My compilation, that comes out tomorrow. Well, tomorrow when this podcast comes out. The last day of August. That'll come out. Once that comes out, it's my 2023 compilation. That will be the last compilation for a while. It's also by far the longest compilation, and was really awkward to do because I had to add sponsor stuff in it, because it's technically got sponsored content in that. I feel a bit weird because it's like, this video has sponsored content in it, but it isn't like an actual sponsored video. It's not the video I was sponsored to make, but contains sponsored content. So I have to designate it as sponsored. But it's also sponsored by multiple people, because, you know, like, multiple different keys were supplied to me by different people. So it just felt a bit weird explaining that. I think I did an okay job. I've kept all of the original disclosures in the compilation as normal. And I've also put a thing at the start saying that there's sponsored segments within, and it also shows you who all the sponsors are on that page. Hopefully that's okay. Also, I'll put the disclosure in the description and everything like normal. But yeah, the point I was trying to get at, that will be the last one for a while. The reason being, because the next sentence compilation would be Season 6, but it can't be that because we're in Season 6. And the next impressions compilation would be for 2020, but I'm not finished making those yet, and I'm not going to be finished making those until I think next year, or at least a couple of months away. Well, there is only like 3 months left in the year, isn't there? So from then on, I'll have the compilation for Season 6 of my sentences. That will definitely be in January. And the compilation for my 2020 impressions will be just as soon as that's finished, and so on and so forth for each other year then. Oh, actually, I can do my 2024 compilation in February. So I'll do it like that. Season 6 will be in January, definitely. 2024 impressions will be in February, definitely. And then 2020 will just be whenever that's finished. So they're not going to be something you can like bank on coming out anymore. There's things I could do, like I've considered doing ones of themes or like of specific series, but then it's like if I did one for all the Zelda games, when the next Zelda game comes out, it'll be redundant then. So then I would just, I don't know, I wouldn't want to delete it, but I also wouldn't feel right leaving it up, sort of thing. So I don't know what I'd do. I think that's it in terms of videos. Everything's just going to carry on. Special thanks to all of my patrons. You can join them over at patreon.com/Holden Gatsby, and for $1 a month you'll get to see what I'm working on early and get exclusive roles in my Discord along with other rewards you might think of. You can also just follow me there if you want to for free, as it's probably the best place to see all of my content as soon as it's available. There's links to the Patreon along with my Discord, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, and all the other podcast platforms in the description for this episode. Finally, don't forget you can email me using podencastby@gmail.com if you've got anything you want to say. Thanks for sticking around. Bye. Special thanks to my patrons, Justin Wood, Hobbs, and Koopy Vegeta. You can join my patrons at patreon.com/Holden Gatsby, check out my TikTok and Twitter @Holden Gatsby, and follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Holden Gatsby. Don't forget to subscribe to all of my channels. If you want more, you can watch my last video now, but if not, then thanks for sticking around. Bye.